These are 5 mechanical habits that are ruining your gameplay every match, and 99% of people will never fix them because they're just too lazy. But if you're serious about improving, you'll watch this video to the end because it's free advice and will probably help you improve. Now only the ambitious are still here. Good, because we're going through what separates the 1% to the 99%, and you can't be lazy. So today it's going to be a bit different. I haven't got a script. I'm just going to be going off the top of my head using the bullet points I've got because I feel like it'll get through into your head easier. So the first one's panic building, and this is when you're getting pressured. Some people just start spam building like this, and it's a huge mistake because spam building like that has no structure. It wastes mats. There's never a good angle using that, but wasting mats is quite obvious. But creating bad angles, that might need a bit of explaining. So let's say your opponent is right here and you're in a gunfight with him. He's up there, you're down here, and you're building up, and he starts spraying, and you get to about here, and then he puts some proper pressure on you, and you just start spamming like crazy. You're gonna start getting shot from different angles, and then when you eventually get to him, you're probably gonna do some sort of wide edit just because you're spam building. Whereas if you wasn't spam building and you kept your composure and you didn't let the pressure get to you, you'd just be able to create good, block all angles that he shoots you from, and just create good angles. Oh my days. So there's one of the reasons panic building is so bad. Also, you can't just be clean with your defensive play when you're panic building. What I'm trying to say is, as you're building up, you want to be protecting the sides they're on, whilst also editing in a way that protects you from the side they're on. And if you're panic building, you'll do something like that, but you forget to place a wall in a very vital position. So if it's someone like me, I'll be standing here and I'll be able to tag you through there, just purely because I know exactly where you're running through. And I think a lot of players will be able to do that too. So that is another reason. And also, as I mentioned, it has no structure. So this is similar, but it's just an overall branch of what I'm talking about. And it's just the fact that there's not really much thought process behind what you're doing. When you just panic build, you're just spamming just like this. And there's a difference between trying to clip and panic building. Trying to clip actually has structure because you know what you're doing. You know your next move. You'll go for a clip. Whereas panic building is literally just like you getting a bit nervous and you're just spamming. You're messing up your edits. Just like that. So the way to fix this is have 2 or 3 builds that you fall back on every time you get a bit too nervous or pressured a bit too much. And for me, my main 2 is the phase sway, because I know it's very protective. It protects whatever angle you need, and it's so simple and easy to do, to the point I can just do it over and over, and I think most of you should be able to do it over and over as well. And then my other one is this, and that's just because it's a similar thing, but I feel it's a bit more protected. As you can see, there's not really many angles you can get hit from. Even from this side, you still get protected at some points with this. So it's a very, very good build move to have in your arsenal. But the main one I would suggest is the sway, just because of how simple and easy it is. But you need to practice these over and over until they're completely automatic and you basically never mess up. Once you've actually mastered these, that isn't the end, because you still will probably fall back to your normal habits once you get pressured, because that's just how it works. Once you get pressured a bit too much and you feel the pressure, you'll probably just start doing what you did before and just spam building, just random builds. Instead, just make sure to keep in mind, maybe take a second. So if you're getting pressured, maybe take a second and just think, okay, I need to be able to do this, and then you just start doing what you practiced. Just having that second to calm down from the pressure, take a think about what your next move should be, understand what your opponent's doing. That will really help you. But next up is excessive jumping, and this is probably one you haven't heard very much, but is one that I actually see myself all the time and I actually use against people. A lot of the time in 1v1s especially, I'll just sit and wait for someone to jump because I already know they're gonna jump. Everyone does it, I don't know why. I think it's because the addition of this leap jump right here, because I especially used to do it as well, because I got carried away with these side jumps here. These are not good side jumps. That will get you tagged a lot of the time against really good players. And it might work against bad players, but that's even worse, because that then means those bad players are letting you make that mistake. And it's a mistake that good players will counter on. Spamming jump too much, using too many side jumps. I know I always say side jumps are good, but they're only good if they're unpredictable. And if you're just doing this over and over, then they obviously get a bit predictable. The reason using this jump is so bad is because of the delay. As you can see, once you jump, you do this animation, and that animation actually does give a bit of a delay when shooting. It's very minimal, but it does give it. And you're also just very unprotected. Like, as you can see, if I jump out like this, I'm so unprotected. Instead of jumping all the time, just try and keep your builds and your protective retakes and stuff more grounded and compact. This will give you more protection to start, and will just also lead to less mistakes because it's more controlled. You have better piece control because you're building more. You may waste more mats, yes, but I would say wasting mats is a lot better than getting hit for 150 because you did a stupid side jump. And the main way to fix this is just thinking about when you're going to jump, and make sure before you jump, you're jumping with purpose. So a nice one I like to do is if I'm across someone, so let's say we just did a 1v1 start. This happens in real games too, but let's just say we got into a position like this. I would like to jump out to the side here like this and get on this back bit so I can then take height really easily. And that's one of the good purposes of it, because you're most likely not going to get hit if they're also on the other side of that. But don't use it when they're sitting above you like this, because you're so obvious. But this is one that 99% of people won't actually try and fix, because they think it's a bit irrelevant. But if you're actually trying to go pro and you're actually disciplined, you'll keep this in mind and actually take action of the things I've just said. But next up is over editing. This is basically just making unnecessary edits or editing for no reason. The main reason this will lose you so many fights is, for one, it just wastes time. Like, let's say you're in a fight and you're above your opponent and you're just randomly doing this for no reason, even though you haven't even tracked them there, you're just doing that for no reason. They could jump out this way, they could box out this way, and because you've just randomly done that, you've missed your opportunity to do it on this side and actually catch them and do some good piece control. So that's one of the main reasons. Also, another way you could waste time is, similarly, you could do a piece control thing in one direction, not tracking them, just doing it randomly. They could come up the other side, tag you, then you're in a bit of a longer fight, and when you're in a longer fight, that also increases the chances of a third party. So avoiding that at every cost is very important. Also, it exposes you quite a lot when you're just doing random edits. So if you're just randomly editing like that, that's obviously an open edit. If you're just doing some weird stuff like that, then it just exposes you a lot, just like doing random edits for no reason at all. It's just unnecessary. You never need to do that many edits to end a fight, especially if you're trying to end a fight fast. A lot of the time, if you watch pro gameplay, a lot of the time, even Peterbot, you won't see them edit that much. They might do a couple of edits, but most of it will just be them getting in the box like that, and just spraying a bit with their shotgun and a bit with their AR. Especially this season, because the shotgun damage to walls is so powerful. So a good example of this is if someone's boxed up. I get people go for clips and stuff, but I see some people coming up to a box and doing about 30 edits until they get to here, do an edit like this, which is an okay peak, it's not a great peak, and then they just get tagged like this. So all they had to do was come over, come up high, and if they want to do flashy stuff, they can do a little ramp flip here, and now you're at a way better angle than you was when you just did about 30 edits, and that was like, what, 3? Whereas over here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 edits or something like that. And that one over there was way more effective, put you in a way more better position, saved so many more mats, and also just gave you a better angle in your opponent to take the wall. But how to fix this is ask yourself, does this help me win the fight fast? And ask this before each time you go to do a edit. or edit calls basically. So say you're boxed up and your opponent is like a box away here, in a double box, which you should always be on a double box, by the way. Think about, is doing this unless you're going for a clip any more effective than if you was to literally just to do this? That's way more effective. But most players will take that advice and just throw it away, because most players edit to look cool, not to actually win. And that's a big mistake I see a lot of players making these days. Next up is a huge one, and is something so many people get caught out with. And I just see pros just walking through players purely because of this fact. And it's poor peak timing. So many people, as soon as someone will drop on their wall, will just instantly edit. Even if it's a good peak, they'll just insta edit, or they'll even do an open peak and insta edit. And this can work, and it probably has worked once or twice, and that's why people feel so strongly about doing it and have such a bad habit of doing it, because they've done it once, they've tagged someone really nicely, or they've gotten a kill with it and it made them feel really good, it made them feel like a really good player. But this is actually a horrible thing to do. It's very predictable. Also, most of the time people do it with a bad angle, and you'll probably have a bad angle because you haven't assessed your opponent's position enough yet, and you haven't assessed what they're doing enough yet. But a lot of people will, especially pros, will just drop down, have their shot pump out, because they know what kind of player is in this box, whether they're a good one, whether they're just someone's going to insta edit. So they'll jump down, wait with a pump out, and bang, and it's pretty much game over at that point. You've been tagged for a ridiculous amount. Also, another reason, as I said a little bit a second ago, most of the time, if you're just going to insta edit as soon as they drop on your wall, you haven't assessed their position enough. So if they've jumped here and you've made an edit like that, they can also get a really nice shot on you there as well. So it's never a good idea to just insta edit at any time. You want to take a second, look through the wall and assess. This also filters into, even in a box fight, say you're a wall away from each other, you never really get in this position, but it's just an example. Let's say you're a box away from each other. Instead of doing the same peak 30 times, just doing it over and over and over, you need to assess your opponent and where they are in the box and change your peak varying on what position they're in. So if they're back here or around this area, that's literally perfect for a peanut butter peak. But let's say they're in this corner here waiting for you to do a peanut butter peak. You need to do some sort of other peak to hit them without them being able to hit you back. This one's quite nice because you can get their toes really easily and just reset, or some sort of window peak or something. If they're in the back corner over there, you can do a peanut butter, you can do a window peak, you can do any other peak that will give you an advantage. But similarly to what I just said about watching people's movement, watching their positioning and watching where they are, if someone jumps next to you with their pump out, please don't insta edit. Take a look at where they are, take a look at what they're doing, decide whether you can make a peak or whether you need to edit out, or whether you need to. One I do is I do this, and it works a lot of the time. Also, changing your peak timing. Instead of doing the same peak over and over again around the same time, maybe do the peak, see if it works. If it doesn't, just reset and give it a bit more time till you make your next peak. So just keep waiting here, just give it a bit longer, and then maybe after that, make an edit, reset, and then maybe peak again, just like that. But this is a huge factor when it comes to losing fights, because a lot of people get caught out by that. I see it all the time in pros. Go watch one pro gameplay. This is a huge problem for loads and loads of players, and probably you too. You just don't know it. And don't be lazy. Put in the effort and fix that mistake, because that is a horrible one, and it's definitely one that will get you killed a lot of the time. And for the fifth and final mistake, not knowing what to build when being pushed and just having defensive building confusion is a huge mistake that a lot of people make. Why this is so bad is because, number one, it wastes mats. Because if you're just sitting here just spamming just random stuff, just not knowing what to do in defense, you're going to end up placing builds over here, builds over there, builds over there, and all these might be useless, builds over there, and it's just going to waste so many mats. Also, it will put you in bad positioning. So this basically just means sometimes you'll run out and you'll leave a thingy open here, you'll leave a gap over here, you'll leave a gap maybe over here, and you can get tagged a lot in weird positions. And also, it's very easy to get in your box. Let's just say you're spamming just like this. Not only might you leave a wall unplaced, but also if they just jump through the back end, you're not going to expect it. If you accidentally leave a cone off, they can just jump straight through. There's just a lot of factors that allow players to utilize the fact that you don't know what you're doing in defense. And this is a massive way pros end fights so quickly as well, because they just pressure the box a lot and they pressure the defensive skill, and all the average players just can't handle the pressure and don't have enough defensive knowledge to fight back. So the best thing to do once you get shot is make 2 boxes. Sometimes 3 is good too. And the third one should always be at an angle, just to create a bit more confusion for the other player, so they can't really figure out where you're going. Also, have cones in all of these, because let's say it's me pressuring your box. Personally, I would just do that, and it's game over at that point. So have this in your box, because then the only thing they have to take is the wall. Even if they don't take the wall in this situation, they'll still place this there in your box, and now you're in a weird position where you're gonna have to like crawl out. You're gonna have to try and slither away, and they're just gonna take this wall and pre-piece you there. Make sure you have these 3 boxes, place cones in each one. Make sure these walls are here too, because once again I'm gonna show you an example. Let's say I took this wall and you was in this box and you tried to creep away to this box. It's pretty much game over once again. I'm just going to do this, take this wall and create an angle there. So making sure you have that wall is very crucial as well. So you create these 3 boxes and you're just going to keep moving around these boxes, using them. And if he takes your wall there, you can then edit this like this for defense, reset this, and then create another 2 boxes, reset this wall, and then use this as your angle. So now you have a long peak over here. If he comes through here, if he comes from over there, you got a good peak there. And if he comes over here, and just so on and so on, even if he's in this box, it just goes on. You've got a lot of long piece to work with. You've got a lot of space, and they can't take piece control on you. That's the main thing, because a lot of pros will literally just place builds in their builds, and it will catch the weaker players out. Most players will never actually practice this defense though, because it's not fun to practice. It's a bit boring to practice, but it's so important if you want to improve. Anyway, that is it for this video. Comment I will go pro if you're actually serious about your improvement, and to show me who is actually serious. And also, if you really want to go pro, you will not go pro if you don't fix the mistake that's in the video on screen now. Subscribe for similar content in the future, and goodbye.